At this point in time, I would like to recognize some of the guests that we have with us today that has made a contribution to where we stand today. If you would, at the time when I make the introduction, if you would, just with a show of hands, since we are standing, the Itawamba County officials, its Board of Supervisors, all the elected officials of Itawamba County Police, we Itawambans have looked forward to for a long time, and I'm proud that you're here with me this morning to share in that occasion. At this point in time, I would like to turn the speaker stand over to Mr. Jack Creely, Mayor of the City of Fulton.
Thank you, Donnie. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome each of you to this opening of this highway, which constitutes another link in the progressive area for this whole region, not only for the city of Fulton. We are standing at a spot that wasn't even in the city of Fulton when the contract was awarded, and I believe that would be classified as progress. We also have over to our west the 10-time waterway, which has assisted the commerce of the midsection of this country during this tremendous drought that we've had. We also last week participated in the dedication of the Mississippi Railway, which links us with the railroad system of the United States. And I would like to thank each of you that had any part in the development of this region, and to especially thank Commissioner Stewart and his people who have done such a great job. And again, as Donnie says, we welcome you to Fulton, and come again at any time you see fit. Thank you.
Thank you, Donnie. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, I'd like to welcome you to Itawamba County. There was a quote once said, "The optimist sees the donut, but the pessimist sees the hole." I know a lot of you are becoming optimistic about highway construction in Itawamba County, North Mississippi. Today is clear evidence of the progress that's going on, and we're looking forward to even more progress, because you can see the light at the end of the tunnel over at the Alabama line. On behalf of the Itawamba County Board of Supervisors, I salute the Mississippi State Highway Department for progress in construction of 78. This construction will help us in economic development in our county, and we're looking forward to even more progress. Again, let me say welcome you to Itawamba County on behalf of the Itawamba County Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be here. I'm not going to take credit for this highway because the work that went into it started long before I held public office. It is somewhat of a homecoming for me. I saw George Martin out in the crowd. George was the engineer, I think, had a lot to do with this road. I was on a survey crew that started in Tupelo and followed a line that obviously wasn't exactly straight, but we went all the way to Tremont, laying out this road about 12 or 15 years ago. And it has changed. There used to be a lot of snakes in here, a whole bunch a little further over. And I didn't know that we'd ever see this day. I think a lot of credit for the work goes to Commissioner Stewart and the efforts he has made to see that we will have a real road program in North Mississippi. I think a lot of credit goes to the leaders in this community, the local officials, and the people who have given so much of their time. A lot of credit goes to landowners who often gave up land so that we could have the roads. And a lot of credit goes to the taxpayers. You know, there are a lot of people who aren't here today because they're at Mueller Brass, or they're at Walmart, or they're in the factories. And I think we should give them due credit also. Once again, I want to thank you for having me here. I hope we enjoy this highway, and I think it is another link to a better future for Itawamba County. Thank you very much.
I do appreciate being here with you today and sharing in the festivities that we're experiencing here. You know, I started coming down to Fulton, Itawamba County back in 1979 when I first started running for state senator and looking for votes. And we came in back in those days on that two-lane death trap right through Dorsey and Peppertown and on across the bottom to Fulton. And I want to echo what Representative Mills said. I had my doubts at times that this project would have would have ever been completed. But we see that it was completed, and we're here today to give history just a little nudge in order to make life better for the people of Itawamba County and northeast Mississippi and anybody who wants to pass through. Think with me for just a minute. Suppose you had left this area 10 years ago and had just come back today. We could scarcely think it was the same place. In that 10-year period of time, this superhighway has been almost completed through this county. Commissioner Stewart told me just a minute ago we've got one more link after this one. Of course, the waterway has been completed. This gigantic port has been completed. And I could just go on and on and on about the way life has been improved here in northeast Mississippi. The new NASA facility that's about to be built up in Tishomingo County is going to be the beginning of the economic prosperity we've been hearing about all our lives. The spin-offs, of course, will be far-reaching, and certainly they will reach down in this county. So I want to assure you people that right now is the good old days, and the good old days are going to just keep on getting better and better and better. And I want to assure you that these good old days are due to a large part because of the public officials here on the platform and standing out in the crowd here today. We oftentimes read about the not-so-good things that the politicians do. But we've had some pretty good politicians. We've had people like Jamie Whitten, John Rankin, Jack Creely, Mike Mills. I could just go on and on and on. These are the good politicians. These are the honest politicians, and they're the honest politicians. So as bad as we sometimes think that the politicians are, they have made life extremely good for the people here in northeast Mississippi in the past few years. What is even more ironic is that even though we see this nice new highway running through here, and we know this come about because of a lot of hard work and diligent work on the part of our leaders, I can tell you that the fight is just now beginning. I don't have to tell you that there are many people in Jackson who would like to see the highway money used for other purposes, and we just cannot allow that to happen. This highway program must be completed, and it must be completed on time, and it must be completed in the way that the legislature prescribed back 2 years ago. And we appreciate your support in helping us to see that this happens. So thank you for letting me come here and be with you today. Thank you for coming yourselves, and thank you for allowing me to be your senator.
But note, when Senator White was naming over the honest, each one of you here today, I appreciate you coming out. This is a tremendous crowd. I think it just further exemplifies what the people of North Mississippi think about highways. You know, us politicians, we get up front and we get a lot of credit for what goes into every time we open a road like this, but I think the real credit should go to you people, because you're the one that's going to have to pay for it. I would like to say that this highway has already been paid for. And that's the way we operate in the Mississippi Highway Department, on a pay-as-you-go, so don't worry about paying for this one. The next one's the one we want to worry about. This one is paid for. But I'd like to recognize some of our Highway Department personnel, because without them, you know, there'd be no way to build a highway. Our district engineer, Lionel Sumford, who's standing behind me, he's been with the Highway Department somewhere between 35 and 40 years. We've got a lot of people that's put a lot of dedicated years in the Mississippi State Highway Department. A lot of them in Itawamba County. I believe Lionel's from Smith, or just over the county line. District testing engineer, Tom West. Is he in the crowd? Tom West. Back yonder, Robert Davis. He's a district maintenance engineer. Paul Swindle's assistant district engineer. Jimmy Palmer, he is the district construction engineer. Tommy Young, he's the project engineer for this project here. And we've got a lot of people, a lot of technical people, a lot of other engineers that are from Itawamba County, and I hesitate to name all of them because we have so many. In fact, we've got a lot of retirees here today. I see Red Boyd and a lot of others. I saw Hollis Graham. We're glad to have you. I've often said about employees with Highway Department in Itawamba County that if the Highway Department was to shut down, it would be one of the awfulest depressions that ever hit Itawamba County, because there's so many people that works for it over here. We do have a lot of employees, and a lot of good employees. The contractor on this project, APAC Construction, I see BA somewhere in the background, and I believe I saw Cud and Earl Stone back there. I believe he was one of the prime subcontractors on this project. And talking about contractors here in Mississippi, you know, we often get criticized about how long it takes to build a highway here in this state. Now, I'm going to tell you, we got some of the finest contractors. Two of those that's here today is two of the finest contractors there is in the country. Now, if you just look to the east of you, about 4 years ago, the state of Alabama let a contract to do the dirt work about the same time we let the contract to do this dirt work we're standing here today. Now, today we're opening our section of highway. They have not opened theirs yet. I don't know when they're going to open it. But we build roads just as fast and just as good, if not better. And I'll challenge you, when you ride over this one and then you ride over that new section of Alabama, you compare roads, and I think you'll find that we have some of the finest roads in this state, and we have some of the finest contractors building roads in this state at one of the better prices. So we're proud of our construction industry here in this state. Today we're opening a 5.6-mile section of highway, which will go from about the point we're now standing around to the Clay communities. The final cost on the paving job was $3.8 million, or it's approximately $3.8 million. And but I'd like to share another figure with you to show you exactly how much roads do cost in this state. Back from the 10-ton bridge, which lies behind us, to the Alabama line, which lies in front of me, which is approximately 13.6 miles, we have already put under contract about $31.5 million in trying to get this section of road built. Now, we've got to come back and pave it. It's going to cost approximately $9 million to pave this section of highway. So you're talking approximately $40 million for about 13.5 miles of highway. So you're running in the vicinity of $3 million a mile for highway construction of this type. So it does take a lot of money to build highways. Now, we know that as we open this up today that we're going to improve, without saying it, the transportation around Fulton, Mississippi, because it's going to take a lot of the congestion out of the downtown area. It's going to let the through traffic come through in a much smoother fashion. They won't bother the local people. But it's going to also improve Mississippi's opportunity to attract industry to our area, because we know that transportation is one of the things that industry looks at when they begin to locate a plant. I was looking in a magazine not too long ago, an area development magazine, and they had 18 categories that industry looks at when they're beginning to locate a plant or trying to seek an industrial site. Now, the first thing that they looked at was labor cost. That was number 1 out of 18. The second most important thing was highway accessibility. That was the second most important thing that they looked at, as far as they was concerned, is a factor in determining where they would locate their plant. Also, the quality of life factors, I'll share these with you. The number 1 thing that they looked at was a low crime rate, and hopefully you have that in Itawamba County. The second most important thing, as far as quality of life was concerned, was the rating of the public schools. So Mississippi, we made steps in the last few years in trying to improve education. We made a tremendous step in the legislature did when they passed the 1987 Highway Act. And I'm going to tell you, you need to pat these gentlemen standing behind me on the back, because they voted for a tax increase on election year, and that's not the most popular thing to do. And I appreciate the courage that they showed when they stood up and they voted for better highways in Mississippi in 1987. But we are living in some exciting times, I think, in this section of the state. I really think we are. We're building a highway system here that we feel like is going to serve this state for the next 50 years, and even beyond that. The highway system that we're replacing or adding to what we call Old 78, it was built approximately 50 years ago. About 50 years ago, they cut the ribbon on Old 78. At that time, Mississippi only had about 250,000 cars in this state. Today, we got about 1.6 million cars trying to travel a lot of those roads that was built 50 years ago. And we're approaching a point where almost every person that has a driver's license has an automobile to drive. So we feel like that things are going to level off, that the need for highways in the future, once this highway system is built, the demands will not be as great as they have been in the past because when everybody gets a car, then when you can accommodate those automobiles, then you don't need too many more highways. So that's about where we are. As I said, we're in exciting times. The education system, you heard, if you followed the newspaper, they are making steps in trying to improve the education of this state. But folks, I would want you to remember, and it's been alluded to earlier, that we may be faced with some troubled times as far as highways is concerned if we don't watch our money. Now, I've said before that I feel like that we can complete this 1,077 miles of four-lane highway that's been laid out the highway department to complete if, and we'll complete it in a timely manner, if they don't tamper with our money. Now, if they'll leave the money alone and don't take the money and use it for purposes other than what was originally intended, I think you'll see this highway system or this highway program that you was promised in 1987, I think you'll see it completed on time. I know the highway department, we're going to do our part. We was asked to put under contract in the first year 48 miles of highway. We actually put under contract 82 miles of highway. And I think that speaks well of the men and women that work for the Mississippi State Highway Department. And so that's the reason that I have mentioned the money is because it seems, and not the fault of these gentlemen behind me, but it seems that almost every year they come with the handout for more money to fulfill obligations that someone has made. And they always come to the Mississippi State Highway Department and look at our budget. And that's where they take your gasoline tax money, your diesel fuel tax money, and they use it for other purposes. And for that reason, I have asked and hoped that we can get support for a constitutional amendment that will prohibit the use of highway user fees for any other purpose other than highways. And I hope that we can get support for that. And I hope that it will get the attention to the point that at least they will keep their hands off of our highway money. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you coming out today. We're here to cut the ribbon on this section of road, and I'm going to ask that what would be platform guests, if we had a platform, that they join me, and let's cut the ribbon and open this road to traffic. And when we cut the ribbon, that will conclude our ceremony. Thank you very much. Bill, was scheduled to be on the program today, and he's just shown up. And Bill, do you want to say a few words to the folks before we cut the ribbon? He says he don't want to say a few words. Bill, we appreciate you coming. Thank you. They appreciate him refusing to say anything.
Loud? Come on out here. Y'all get that? All right. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's pose there a minute. Can you pick it back up? All right. Do it up when you get to the end of the X there. Make that turn up that place. Forward climb again, Mark. What in the world is this?